Juniors of the world, juniors of the world. What's up, Ja?
Yeah, I'm good, man. What's going on with you?
I'm cooling, man. You know what it is, dog. Cooling.
Ah, yeah, must live life, man.
So we was you was telling me about this what's this, pink black?
Now it's called Blackpink. But before we get into this everything, though,
Mm-hmm.
man, a lot of people try to say that Black Americans have no culture, man. But our culture is basically global. It's
Right.
all over the world. You can see it through everybody's culture, their own culture, because they don't really represent their own culture sometimes as well. They like to go ahead and what can you say, masquerade and dibble and dabble and get into our culture and everything. Though that's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
things that people can fail to realize is that it's global. Our culture is global. We know we make the world go around globally.
Right. Right.
Spinning, 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 and spinning. So basically, it's a video that's been circulating around through the internet and everything though about a popular K-pop group called K-Pink. And they got little dicey things like that though, man. But you want to read the article?
Um, well, you wanna just do that? What about the basketball?
Well, yeah, go ahead with the
Wanna
basketball
jump
one
on that
then.
first?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So you gotta remember with the basketball one.
Yeah. Tell a little bit about that.
No, it's just basically though, they always try to say, Asian hate and things like that though, man. But at the same time, they are representing hate themselves for a culture that's supposed to be so abused and just
Wasn't that like
toxic
by what? Since when them
from
shots
pandemic.
started, right?
During that
You gotta
time.
be cautious on that because they yeah, so
Yeah.
okay, so all right, I'm about to go play it now.
In a disturbing video circulating on social media, you can hear basketball fans in China repeatedly shouting racist slurs, including the N-word, at American basketball player Sonny Weems, telling the 35-year-old to Weems, who briefly played in the
Oh,
NBA, now plays for the Guangdong Southern Tigers, part of the Chinese Basketball Association. The incident happened after a game last Thursday in Changchun, China. On the court, a fight broke out between Weems and Chinese player Han De-jun. Both were expelled from the game. As Weems boarded his bus post-game, some wearing the opposing team's jersey shouted the racially charged words. In a statement released Friday, the CBA condemned the incident, writing, "The CBA has a zero-tolerance attitude toward any discriminatory words or deeds," and in an open letter to fans, asked them to, quote, "resist uncivilized behavior." Both teams likewise condemning the fans' behavior. The Liaoning team writing, "What a fan should do is to cheer for players on the field, rather than insult, disrespect, or even abuse opponents off the court." Taiwanese American player Jeremy Lin immediately jumped to Weems' defense, posting on his Chinese social media Weibo account, "The abuse Weems received really was disrespectful. That word carried so much hurt, unfairness, and hatred that I couldn't put into words." CNN reached out to Weems, but did not immediately hear back. His last post on his official Weibo page? Hearts. A surge of supportive comments from Chinese fans followed. "Peace and love. We will always be behind you," one fan wrote. Another apologizing. "I'm sorry. Are you all right now? We always support you and stay here with you." The incident follows what's been a tumultuous few years in which U.S.-China sports and politics have repeatedly clashed. In 2019, comments made by the then Houston Rockets GM in support of Hong Kong pro-democracy protests nearly severed a multi-billion-dollar deal between the NBA and China, by far its largest market outside of the U.S. In less than 3 weeks, Beijing will host the Winter Olympics. Publicly, China has worked to portray a welcoming atmosphere ahead of the Games. Speaking to the media on Monday in Beijing, former NBA star and Rocket center Yao Ming, now president of the government-affiliated CBA, highlighted the role of sports in building bridges between countries.
There's bound to be traffic on bridges, so sometimes we see collisions. It may take some time to resolve some issues, but we want to keep the bridges intact.
But so far though, how you feel about that though?
There's a lot of things that's going on, but it's crazy because it's always one sided because they always want to go ahead and attack, our community constantly
Right.
saying that we, constantly agitating and
Right. Right.
attacking.
Right. Right.
When their hands is dirty as well. They play that same card as a supremacist. And it's things that you got to understand because once upon a time it wasn't the greatest, but once upon a time, it was a connection.
Right.
Because they was treated in a bad way as well. And back in like I guess like the 40s, they was using them as the new Negroes
Mm-hmm.
in the fields to pick cotton and basically working those fields. But they found out it wasn't in their best interest, so they got away from it. That's when they start opening up shops, and that's when they start catering to the black community, who was still in their own community in their own country, was being looked down upon, and they couldn't go ahead and get the same loans and property and banks and storefronts and everything else like the Chinese community could, the Asian community could. So it's kind of it's not surprising, but it's sad to see. But there's a lot of things that go along with this, though, man. What you gotta say about this whole situation, Lady T?
Hey, I'm just chiming in on everything, and yeah, it's just I feel like it's 2025. Like we shouldn't be doing this no more. Like we should be doing better just as a people. You know what I mean? And it's
Right.
crazy how they can come over here and they do their thing. They selling the food. You can get your wigs and everything from there, and everything's peace and love for them. But then we go over there and catch hell. It's crazy, yo. It's just sad. It's
Yeah.
sad.
Yeah, cause one thing like over here we just too welcoming, we just want to welcome everybody over here and let them do whatever, you know. And like you say, like just like they capitalize over here, we should capitalize over there as well. You know, we'll
Because the
be
influence is heavy over there, though.
right.
You can
I
see
know,
all the
but
influence, especially through
right,
hip hop.
man, we'll be multi trillionaires on top of trillionaires, bro. Like
I
on
know
some
one of the
real.
things. I know one of the things we was talking about earlier, though. You brought up something that I did agree upon with you with
Mm-hmm.
is the fact that a lot of people taking upon our culture and they making like you just said, they're making so much money off of it, and we're not capitalizing on anything of it though, man. They even got people running around there with Juneteenth, and not one person from the community is representing that
Yeah,
as a business.
representing that. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We need to capitalize off our own, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like keep that in the community. I remember one time you was talking about like what trillions of dollars goes out of the community instead of coming in. You know what I'm saying? Like
So
we can use that money to build more education and I mean the whole nine. You
yeah,
know?
one of the things is the fact that you see, I guess this is a new slogan for this
Hmm.
generation when they keep saying this. We're not our ancestors, and you're right, because we're not our ancestors, though, man. Because our ancestors got along with each other. They knew
Right.
they knew how to what's the word when they get together, collude, not collude. What's the
Unite,
word?
unite.
Unite. Thank
Right.
you,
Right. Right. Right.
thank you.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's something that we lack right now, man. We don't unite. We're so separate, and you got right now. We got a lot. It's a lot. And I mean, it's a lot of bootlickers who want to cater up to the corporate class
Hmm.
and look down upon their own and betray you. You know what I mean? So it's, certain times you gotta look out and just look at them and see that we got to start cleaning house of these people, man. It's like ostracize them from the community as a whole. Because right now they're a worst enemy, and they're in the community. At the same time, but perfect is beautiful when they get the wake up call.
Right.
You know, like
Right.
so many of these people right now, though, man. So, black influences everywhere, though, man. Though,
We
and
just
then
need to
that,
start taking charge, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Stop playing victim and just, you know what I'm saying, make it happen. Cause we got
if
it.
you go back, if you go back and look at a lot of stuff right now, though, man, like this video right here, what I mean, how they kept pushing, they showed the racial card and everything,
Right.
But then you got the group, once again, you got like Blackpink, and, K-pop, those people right there are so influenced by hip hop that they get so crazy, and you gotta look at them as a whole
Right.
and see that our culture represents or just influence their culture as a whole. Right now, can you pull everything in Blackpink and read it off?
Yeah, that's what I'm see if I can find that real
And
quick
while
for
he's
you.
doing that, hey, Lady T, to go back to something what you said earlier about the like the hair stores, salons and things like that, though, man. The only thing is kind of time for like the black women to start supporting their own uh people in the community to have like little hair shops
Yeah,
and start trying to
yeah,
some way start going natural.
yeah. I mean, I agree with you 100%, man. It's just that everybody. That's the thing now. They got green wigs, pink wigs.
Hmm.
That's what everybody want. That's what everybody want now. And it's nothing wrong with it. But then look at where you're getting it from, and then look at how you're getting treated. You know, and you can easily go ahead and get that style of hair, and you can get it. There's all different types of ways of getting it. You don't necessarily have to go to the Chinese and get it. And I feel like that's a good thing. Like something we gotta look into instead of running to them. You know what I mean? We
Right.
got to go ahead and unite, come together, and do our own thing. It reminds me like back in the day, we had Black Wall Street. We had stuff. We didn't have to go out and go to different communities and different stores and get stuff. When we had our own stuff, and that's something that we gonna have to start coming together and getting it done. That's how I feel about everything. But
I
that's
agree
the
with you,
thing.
man.
Our biggest barrier is us. There's no unity. No one wants to unite. Nobody wants to come together. If we can do that, man, we can take over the world. But that's the biggest
Damn
thing.
right. Yeah, I agree with that. Straight up. Well, these are the chicks right here. Blackpink. You know what I'm saying? So now on one source they were saying that they was forced to use the N-word.
What?
Yeah. On one source. I'm gonna see if I can try to find that. But they didn't want no black woman near them for the collab. So I don't understand how they
Wow.
come here and just be racist like that.
That's crazy, yo.
Like
It's
straight up.
crazy.
And once again, in our culture,
Yeah, no, cause
Yeah.
yeah, that's the main target that they aiming at though. It's so many different cultures, so many different races, but it's just something about our people though. They love it.
But why do you think that is?
um, I think like the it's money into it. You know what I'm saying? Like in
Mhm.
Investopedia, they got the red market and the black market or whatnot. Red market is when time is moving real slow. Black market is booming. So that's the reason why at the end of, on the holiday they got Black Friday. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And they call us black, African American. So
Hmm.
it's just a thing of capitalizing until we realize, like how we were just saying earlier, we can start taking that back, bro, and start like really building, man.
Yeah, man. It'd be a beautiful thing. That's how it was like way back, man. I
Right,
started looking in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I was like,
right,
what? They had everything,
right, right.
everything you name it, from schools, hospitals, banks, like, you know?
Yeah,
And that's something that we gotta, that's why, like, that's something they didn't teach us. I had
yeah.
to go out and learn that on my own.
See,
And then it's like, why? Now I know why, because they know how strong we was, and they don't want us to do that again. So that's why they just want to keep us under attack any way they can, because they know as
right.
soon as they divide, as long as they keep us divided, they know we ain't never gonna be able to come together and be as
Mm-hmm.
strong as we used to be.
Right, right.
So that's the plan, and I hate to say it, that shit working like a charm, bro.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. until we all start realizing it, man, and get them fake folks out, bro. Like how me and Joe was talking about, we need real folks in, man. You know, don't want to
That's
name no names on certain people. Still waiting on that school to drop though.
well,
Mm-mm-mm.
I don't think that's gonna be dropping anytime soon, though, man. You know what I mean? But people like
Uh-uh-uh.
him and the other guy that has a so-called museum,
Right.
they need to go ahead and get themselves together and basically they got all this knowledge, they got pretty words, what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? They come out there, they can say, certain things, and people fall in line and they hold them up to hold in high regards. But at the same time, you can use those words and your power, your influence, man, and be like a representative of your city.
That's true. That's
Yeah,
Be a
true.
city
yeah.
council.
In the politics, you
Yeah,
know.
be in politics. Make some changes
Oh,
that way and
Yeah.
everything. Like city councilman,
yeah,
start small and elevate yourself in certain things though. You go back to one of your things though, man, but then you got this current administration right now erasing certain parts of black history, removing things.
Right.
Right now they went ahead and remove some artifacts in the Black Museum. You know what I mean? So people are rightfully so upset about that. But at the same time, they sit up there and they say that Black history is American history, but turn around and start erasing and changing certain parts of the history because certain people don't want to feel offended, as they like to say, though, man, but
Mm.
not understanding the fact that how do you think we felt for all the years of looking back and seeing in school. I mean, I learned more out of school than I did in school.
Right.
And right
Right.
now, you can't even
yeah,
see
yeah,
any real, basically, change in the school system, basically. Because right now, these kids still know what's going on. Like right now, if you look at Alice H. Parker, she's a black inventor, 1919. She patented a natural gas powered central heating system that used to distribute warm air throughout the home. So she's the reason why we got heat in the homes now.
Mm.
They don't teach that stuff in school. Alexander Mills, you know what I mean? He was an inventor of the 19th century. He's the reason why we got elevator doors. He's the reason why we got elevator doors. You know what I mean? Then you got Frederick McKinley Jones. You know what I mean? He's an inventor as well and everything though for the refrigeration,
Right.
freezing.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's so much stuff that they don't put out there, but they have no shame of showing us in the worst light. You know what I mean? So, and entertainment is the biggest thing. What a lot of people see for us, they see us in the eyes of the media, and they get a bad look of black culture in this community, and that's what they go off of. It's crazy. And one of the biggest people, I'm gonna put his name out there. I know people love him. I know both of you guys watch his shows and everything. Though he created Power. You look at Power. You look at what's it called, BMF. You look at all his movies. It's all stereotypes of black people and everything, though, man. He had not one doctor in any of his shows. A banker, nothing. It's either drug dealer, criminal, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? So he's a good boy. You know what I mean? For him to be bankrupt from a couple years ago, and all of a sudden now he got his studio. You know what I mean? Same thing with another guy, a comedian, who he just popped out of nowhere. Now he's building a studio. So all that stuff right there is just planned, picked puppets.